We got a major Padres free agency update. This man right here, Roki Sasaki, has made his decision. This is going to change everything. Before we get to this, though, I've got to remind you guys all, make sure you subscribe to Padres Digest. If you are new to the show, your best way to get takes, breaks, all the information you need all season long is to hit that subscribe button. Plus, it feels good because we're going to catch Dodgers Digest by the end of the year, and you can help be a part of beating the Dodgers at least something, because we've lost out to them on a free agent. Roki Sasaki, the 100-mile-an-hour throwing righty out of Japan, is going to be a Los Angeles Dodger, and I don't necessarily have fantastic news for anybody on that front. It's not like he's going to line up perfectly against the Padres hitting and make it so much X, Y, or Z easier to beat the Dodgers in any way, shape, and form. This is a loss on the front that we are losing out on everybody this offseason, and now there is also losing out on Sasaki, which was the sort of, but if, like, we'll miss out on this guy, we'll miss out on Soto, we'll miss out on Snell, we'll miss out on whoever, but as long as if we've signed Sasaki, it all makes sense, and it's all worth it. And, well, no, now we don't get him. He's a Los Angeles Dodger. The best that I can come up with here for a silver lining, or at least a way to positively view this if you are a Padres fan, and this is a stretch, but I'm trying not to be entirely doom and gloom with you guys, is that him going to the Dodgers is only the rich getting richer, and it's not him going to the Giants, Rockies, or Diamondbacks. Not that any of those teams were listed. It was down to the final two were the Blue Jays and the Dodgers, which a massive L for the Blue Jays. Again, always missing out on somebody, so I'm glad the Padres can ride in solidarity with our brothers to the north. Make sure you go give the Blue Jays Digest a follow as well, another great Digest media channel. But him not going to anyone else in the division is I guess if you had to come up with a way to spin this, is that the Dodgers getting better is already the gap that we know that the Padres have to overcome. If he went to the Giants, Rockies, or Diamondbacks, I would say that that's going to be more of a beating that you're going to have to take from all sides all season long if you have to face him on another team and not just as part of the Dodgers rotation, because you can only play the Dodgers so many times. You only have to face him so many times. It is what it is. I think that you can now ask yourself retrospectively, is the Shildt-Seidler lawsuit the issue? Is it the lack of money? Is it this, that, or the other? And we won't perhaps ever fully know what went down behind the scenes and how this all played out. But I think that this comes as a very big red flag to Padres fans everywhere, because what the Padres could and should be having, maybe should is wrong to entitle ourselves to it, but what the Padres could be having is an elite pitcher right there. Instead, what they are getting is an offer of an offseason, and there's a chance that we could still sign Profar or go pick up some other pieces elsewhere. But that's really that's not even a good consolation prize. The one thing that we get to now talk about is the other international signings that the Padres have made. They have spent about $3 million of their cap, reportedly between signing two different younger players. The first one is a hitter, Carlos Alvarez. Let's show you his highlights here. He is the number 21 prospect in baseball right now. He does not have any particularly high standout skill tools. He is not known as a power guy or a high average guy or a speed guy, but he also has very little downside, according to all of the write-ups on him. 5'11", 170, like very serviceable major league infielder career, potentially ahead of him. That's a lot for me to tell you guys to, like, hey, go out and get excited about this. He's going to show you something. He's going to prove us all wrong, yada, yada, yada. That's tough. The highlights like that are fun to look at. You got to ask yourself, though, also with some of this, like if we're talking about 19 and 20-year-olds signing minor league international signing deals, what really is the horizon that we're talking here about these guys even contributing? So how much of this is not even a consolation prize, because you're not even signing guys to the major league team now. You're just signing for a wait and see. And I think the first guy there that we're talking about is the second player that we are going to talk about is Yohan De La Cruz. Just got to make sure I get the name right, because we are hot off the presses with this. And De La Cruz is a 19-year-old pitcher who has some absolute velocity on that left side. You'll see him here, kind of a little bit of a sidearm slinging delivery reminiscent a la Chris Sale. He's big, he's lanky. Like I said, he's young. At 17, he's 6'5", so he is enormous. He also, interestingly enough, has only played outfielder for the vast majority, if not the entirety, of his baseball playing career. He's just recently, in the last couple of months, been switched over to a pitcher, so somebody that at this point has very little mileage on his arm. Not saying that he's going to go from 17 to being a Padres pitcher within the span of a couple months, but he's somebody that I rank highly as very interested in. He is, if I want to make sure I get these numbers correctly here, he's the number 39 overall prospect this year in baseball, so some slots below Alvarez, but I think that, to me, much more interesting of the two signings, if for no other reason than we're starting this conversation here talking about Roki Sasaki and talking about pitching and talking about the Padres' need for pitching all off season, whether it's with Sasaki in addition or with King in going into arbitration. And see, like, there's just so many questions about it that you can never have too many arms. I love a lefty. I love a power guy. So maybe it's not this season. Maybe it's a season or two from now. But I think the timeline and the horizon, as long as he can stay healthy, definitely is more. So that's what we got. We missed out on Roki Sasaki. The Padres have, however, signed two guys who are going to bolster the farm system and numbers. And if nothing else, provide us with some cannon fodder for a potential mid, or at some point, I think everything, once you have that first game of the season, becomes a mid-season trade. But for me, the solution for the Padres always this season was going to be this offseason was going to be twofold. It was definitely you don't want to miss out on someone like Sasaki, but it was also wait and see until you get into the season, because the Padres there was not elite pitching outside. There wasn't a depth of pitching. Let me say it that way. There was not a depth of elite pitching available this offseason, so missing out on a Verlander or a Scherzer 15 years ago, that would have been huge. This year, not so much. So I think that the Padres need to just be poised now for where do we find somebody this season who is not going to make the playoffs, or has injuries, or has just a change of mindset, a month, 2 months, 3 months, something like that. And how can we find some value in return to have a second half of the season stretch run bolstered by some additional arms, maybe even some arms that are under control for a year or two. But that's where we're at for now. We still got a couple more weeks of off season before the P's and C's report, but now the focus becomes on obviously developing the roster that we have, but what's going to happen with these last couple of free agents? Do the Padres now take the money that they would have slotted for Sasaki and go lock up Profar, go lock up some other guys potentially? I don't think we're going to see Ha-Sung Kim back again, but could at least get Profar, if not a few others, back this season. And if not, though, we got to start, I guess, looking for red flags and trying to figure out whether or not the Shildt-Seidler lawsuit, even if it on its legal basis only has limited merits, has a wider scope of implications for just what is going on with the Padres, and if this is the beginning of a rebuild and a destruction and a tearing down of the Peter Seidler empire. But until we get to that, all I got to remind you guys is make sure you keep the faith with the Friar Faithful, and hit that subscribe button so we can bring you all the videos all season long.